Imagine waking up one day and realizing that most of the things that once worried you no longer have power over your mind. Imagine looking at problems without fear, facing challenges without panic, and moving through life with a deep sense of confidence and peace. This is not a fantasy. This is the transformation that Buddha wanted every human being to experience. Thousands of years ago, Buddha discovered something that is still changing lives today. He understood that suffering does not come only from the outside world. It comes from the way we think about the world. He saw people chasing happiness in money, status, possessions, and approval, yet they remained unhappy. He saw people trying to control everything around them, yet they felt more anxious every day. What Buddha taught was simple but powerful. Change the way you see life, and life itself begins to change. Today we will explore 6 life lessons from Buddha that have the power to change your future. These lessons are not just ancient wisdom. They are practical truths that can help you build a stronger mind, healthier relationships, greater success, and lasting inner peace. The first lesson is that everything changes. One of the greatest causes of suffering is the belief that things should stay the same. People want their youth to last forever. They want success to remain permanent. They want relationships to never change. They want comfort without challenges and happiness without pain. But Buddha taught that change is the natural law of life. Nothing remains the same forever. Every season changes. Every situation changes. Every emotion changes. Every person changes. Think about your own life. The problems that once seemed impossible are now memories. The fears that kept you awake at night have mostly disappeared. The difficult moments eventually passed because change is always happening. Whether we notice it or not, the moment you accept, change your mind becomes lighter. You stop fighting reality. You stop wasting energy, wishing things were different. Instead, you learn to adapt, grow, and move forward. When success comes, enjoy it, but do not become attached to it. When challenges come, face them, but remember they will not last forever. This understanding gives you strength because you know that no situation has permanent power over you. The second lesson is that your thoughts create your reality. Buddha said that the mind is everything. What you think you become. Many people believe that their happiness depends on external circumstances. They think they will be happy when they earn more money, find the perfect relationship, buy a bigger house, or achieve a certain goal. But Buddha taught that happiness begins inside the mind. 2 people can face the same situation and experience completely different emotions. One person sees an obstacle and feels defeated. The other sees an opportunity and feels motivated. The situation is the same, but the thinking is different. Your thoughts shape the way you experience life. Every day, your mind is planting seeds. Some seeds grow into confidence, gratitude, and peace. Others grow into fear, anger, and negativity. The future you experience tomorrow is being created by the thoughts you repeat today. If you constantly focus on failure, you will see reasons to give up. If you constantly focus on possibilities, you will find reasons to keep going. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing thoughts that empower you rather than weaken you. Pay attention to the conversations happening inside your mind, because those conversations are quietly shaping your future. The third lesson is to let go of what you cannot control. One of the biggest sources of stress is trying to control things that are beyond your power. People worry about what others think. They worry about events that have not happened yet. They worry about the past, even though it cannot be changed. Buddha taught that peace begins when you stop fighting battles that cannot be won. You cannot control other people. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control every challenge that life brings. What you can control is your response. You can control your attitude. You can control your actions. You can control the choices you make every day. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents something you cannot control. The more stones you carry, the more exhausted you become. Now imagine putting those stones down. One by one, you release unnecessary worries. You stop carrying burdens that were never yours to carry. This is what happens when you practice letting go. You free your energy for the things that truly matter. The future becomes brighter because your focus shifts from helpless worry to meaningful action. The fourth lesson is that kindness is never wasted. Many people see kindness as weakness, but Buddha saw it as one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. Every action creates an effect. Every word leaves an impact. Every act of kindness sends positive energy into the world. Kindness does not only help others, it transforms the person who practices it. When you act with compassion, your heart becomes lighter. Your relationships become stronger. Your mind becomes more peaceful. Think about the people who have had the greatest impact on your life. Often, they are not remembered because of their wealth or status. They are remembered because of their kindness. A simple word of encouragement can change someone's day. A moment of patience can prevent conflict. A small act of generosity can inspire hope. Buddha taught that what you give to the world eventually returns to you in one form or another. If you want a better future, become the kind of person who brings light into the lives of others. The fifth lesson is that true wealth comes from contentment. Modern society constantly tells people they need more money, more possessions, more recognition, more success. The problem is that there is always something else to chase. Buddha understood that endless desire creates endless dissatisfaction. This does not mean you should stop pursuing goals. It means your happiness should not depend entirely on achieving them. A person who is grateful for what they already have experiences a form of wealth that money cannot buy. Contentment is not about settling for less. It is about appreciating the present moment while continuing to grow. When you learn contentment, you stop comparing yourself to everyone else. You stop measuring your worth by external achievements. You begin to recognize the abundance that already exists in your life. And from that place of gratitude, your future becomes more fulfilling because success is no longer driven by emptiness, but by purpose. The sixth lesson is that every day is a new beginning. Many people remain trapped by their past mistakes. They replay old failures in their minds. They carry regret for years. They convince themselves that their future must look exactly like their past. Buddha taught that every moment is an opportunity to begin again. The person you were yesterday does not have to be the person you are tomorrow. Each sunrise brings a new chance to think differently, act differently, and create a different future. Your mistakes are lessons, not life sentences. Your failures are experiences, not final destinations. No matter how many times you have fallen, you can always choose to stand up again. The future is not determined by what happened in the past. It is determined by what you decide to do today. Every great transformation begins with a single decision, a decision to keep moving forward, a decision to learn, a decision to grow, a decision to believe that something better is possible. These 6 lessons may seem simple, but their power is extraordinary. Accept change, and you become resilient. Master your thoughts, and you become stronger. Let go of what you cannot control, and you find peace. Practice kindness, and you enrich your life. Choose contentment, and you discover true wealth. Embrace new beginnings, and you unlock endless possibilities. Your future is not created by luck alone. It is created by the choices you make every day. The wisdom of Buddha has survived for centuries because it speaks to something timeless within every human being: the desire to live with peace, purpose, and freedom. And that journey begins the moment you apply these lessons to your own life. Now imagine for a moment that you are standing at the edge of a vast road, stretching far beyond the horizon. The road represents your future. Every choice you make, every habit you build, and every thought you entertain becomes a step in a certain direction. Most people spend years wondering why their lives are not changing while continuing to walk the same path every single day. They want different results, but they repeat the same patterns. They dream about a better future, but refuse to change the beliefs that are creating their present reality. This is where the wisdom of Buddha becomes incredibly powerful. Buddha understood something that many people still struggle to understand today. Your life does not change when circumstances change. Your life changes when you change. Many people wait for motivation before taking action. They say they will start exercising when they feel motivated. They say they will start saving money when life becomes easier. They say they will begin working toward their dreams when the perfect opportunity arrives. But the truth is that motivation often comes after action, not before it. The person who succeeds is usually not the most talented person in the room. The person who succeeds is often the one who keeps moving, even when motivation disappears. Buddha taught that discipline creates freedom. At first, this idea sounds strange, because most people associate freedom with doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But think about it. The person who cannot control their emotions is not free. The person who cannot control their habits is not free. The person who cannot control their true freedom comes from mastering yourself. When you learn to control your reactions, you stop being controlled by circumstances. When you learn to control your attention, you stop being distracted by every little thing. When you learn to control your habits, you begin creating a future that aligns with your goals. Every successful person understands this principle, whether they realize it or not. The future belongs to those who are willing to practice consistency. Not occasionally, not when they feel inspired, but every day. Buddha often emphasized the importance of mindful living. Mindfulness is not simply sitting quietly with your eyes closed. Mindfulness is learning how to fully experience the present moment. Most people spend their lives mentally living somewhere else. When they are at work, they think about home. When they are at home, they think about work. When they are with friends, they think about their problems. When they finally achieve a goal, they immediately begin worrying about the next one. As a result, they miss the only moment they ever truly possess, the present moment. Think about how much of your life has been spent worrying about things that never happened. Think about how many nights were lost to anxiety, about situations that eventually worked themselves out. Think about how much energy has been wasted replaying events that cannot be changed. Buddha taught that peace becomes available the moment you stop resisting the present. This does not mean giving up on improvement. It means accepting reality before attempting to change it. A person trapped in denial cannot move forward. A person who accepts reality gains the power to transform it. This lesson is especially important in modern America, where people are constantly being told to move faster, achieve more, and stay busy at all times. Many people wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. They believe being busy means being productive. But busyness and progress are not the same thing. You can spend years running in circles without actually moving forward. Mindfulness helps you focus on what truly matters. It allows you to separate important priorities from meaningless distractions. And in a world filled with endless noise, that ability becomes a superpower. Another lesson Buddha taught is the danger of comparison. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to destroy happiness. Today, this problem is greater than ever before. People scroll through social media and compare their lives to carefully edited highlight reels. They compare their appearance to strangers. They compare their income to coworkers. They compare their relationships to celebrities. They compare their progress to people whose journeys are completely different. The result is frustration, insecurity, and self-doubt. But Buddha understood that every person is walking a unique path. The tree does not compare itself to the flower. The mountain does not compare itself to the river. Each fulfills its purpose in its own way. Your journey is your journey. Someone else may achieve success faster. Someone else may have advantages you never had. Someone else may appear to be ahead, but their path is not your path. The only comparison that truly matters is comparing who you are today with who you were yesterday. Are you growing? Are you learning? Are you becoming stronger? If the answer is yes, then you are moving in the right direction. Buddha also taught the importance of patience. Modern culture often promotes instant gratification. People want instant success, instant results, instant happiness, instant wealth. But nature does not operate that way. A seed does not become a tree overnight. A child does not become an adult in a week. Great achievements require time. Many dreams fail, not because they are impossible, but because people quit too soon. They plant the seed and then dig it up every few days to see if it is growing. They expect immediate rewards for short-term effort. When those rewards do not appear quickly enough, they give up. Patience is not passive waiting. Patience is active. Trust. It is continuing to do the right things, even when the results are not yet visible. The person who remains patient develops a level of strength that others rarely achieve, because patience builds resilience. Patience builds confidence. Patience builds wisdom, and those qualities create lasting success. One of the most profound teachings from Buddha involves the nature of fear. Fear prevents countless people from living the life they truly want. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty. Fear convinces people to stay where they are, even when they know they are capable of more. But Buddha taught that fear often comes from attachment. People become attached to certainty, attached to comfort, attached to familiar routines. When anything threatens those attachments, fear appears. The solution is not eliminating fear completely. The solution is learning how to move forward despite fear. Courage does not mean feeling fearless. Courage means acting even when fear is present. Every major achievement requires stepping into uncertainty. Every meaningful relationship requires vulnerability. Every significant goal involves risk. The future you want exists beyond the fears you are currently holding on to. And each time you face those fears, you weaken their power. Another powerful lesson is learning how to respond rather than react. Most people react automatically. Someone insults them and they become angry. Something goes wrong and they panic. A problem appears and they immediately assume the worst. But Buddha encouraged conscious responses instead of emotional reactions. There is a space between what happens and how you respond. Within that space lies your power. When you pause before reacting, you gain control. You stop allowing other people to dictate your emotions. You stop becoming a prisoner of impulse. You begin making decisions based on wisdom rather than temporary feelings. This simple shift can transform relationships, careers, and entire futures. Because many of the biggest regrets in life come from moments when emotion overpowered wisdom. As the years pass, many people discover that external achievements alone cannot provide lasting fulfillment. Money can solve certain problems. Success can create opportunities. Recognition can feel rewarding, but none of those things guarantee inner peace. Buddha understood that lasting fulfillment comes from alignment between your actions and your values. When your daily actions reflect what truly matters to you, life begins to feel meaningful. Without meaning, even success can feel empty. With meaning, even ordinary moments become valuable. The future is not only about what you accomplish, it is also about who you become along the way. At the end of life, people rarely wish they had spent more time worrying. They rarely wish they had accumulated more stress. They rarely wish they had spent more years seeking approval from strangers. Instead, they wish they had loved more deeply, lived more fully, appreciated more moments, and worried less about things that never truly mattered. That is why Buddha's teachings remain relevant today, because human nature has not changed. People still seek happiness. People still struggle with fear. People still search for purpose, and people still long for peace. The wisdom that helped people thousands of years ago continues helping people today, because it addresses the deepest challenges of the human experience. The choice now belongs to you. You can continue living according to old habits, old fears, and old patterns, or you can begin applying these timeless lessons. One thought at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time, because every great future starts with small choices made consistently. And the person you become tomorrow is being shaped by the decisions you make right now. As you continue walking through life, there comes a moment when you begin to realize that the greatest battles are not happening outside of you, but inside of you. Most people spend years trying to change the world around them while neglecting the world within them. They work harder to earn more money. They chase bigger opportunities. They seek recognition, approval, and success. Yet despite achieving many of these things, they often discover that the inner emptiness remains. Buddha understood this truth long ago. He realized that a peaceful mind creates a peaceful life, and a troubled mind creates a troubled life. No matter where you live, no matter how much money you earn, no matter how many accomplishments you achieve, if your mind is constantly filled with fear, negativity, resentment, and anxiety, then peace will always seem out of reach. This is why Buddha placed such importance on self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to observe your thoughts without becoming controlled by them. Most people do not realize how much power their thoughts have over their lives. A single negative thought can ruin an entire day. One fear can prevent someone from pursuing a dream. One painful memory can influence decisions for years. The mind is constantly creating stories. Some stories help us grow, others keep us trapped. The challenge is learning how to recognize the difference. Imagine standing beside a river. Leaves float across the surface of the water. Some leaves are beautiful, some are damaged, some are large, some are small. But regardless of their appearance, they continue floating downstream. Your thoughts are very similar. Thoughts come and go. They appear and disappear. The problem begins when people grab onto every thought and treat it as absolute truth. Just because you think something does not make it true, just because you feel afraid, does not mean danger is present. Just because you doubt yourself does not mean you are incapable. Buddha taught that freedom begins when you stop identifying with every thought that enters your mind. Instead of saying, "I am anxious," you begin saying, "I am experiencing anxiety." Instead of saying, "I am a failure," you begin saying, "I experienced a failure." This small shift changes everything, because experiences come and go, but your true self remains beyond them. Another lesson Buddha emphasized was the importance of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces available to the human mind. Yet it is often overlooked because it seems too simple. People assume happiness comes from getting more success, more money, more possessions, more achievements. But gratitude reveals something surprising. The quality of your life often depends more on what you notice than what you own. Two people can have similar circumstances. One feels blessed, the other feels deprived. One focuses on what is present, the other focuses on what is missing. And as a result, they experience entirely different realities. Buddha encouraged people to appreciate the gift of being alive, the opportunity to learn, the ability to grow, the chance to love and be loved, the beauty hidden in ordinary moments. When gratitude becomes a daily practice, the mind gradually shifts away from scarcity and toward abundance. You stop obsessing over what you lack. You begin appreciating what already exists, and that perspective creates a sense of richness that cannot be purchased. Buddha also taught that resentment is a burden carried by the person holding it. Many people spend years carrying anger towards someone who hurt them. They replay old arguments. They relive painful memories. They imagine different outcomes. And all the while, the emotional weight grows heavier. The strange thing about resentment is that it rarely hurts the person who caused the pain. Instead, it hurts the person holding on to it. It consumes energy. It steals peace. It prevents healing. Forgiveness does not mean approving harmful behavior. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting what happened. Forgiveness means refusing to allow the past to continue controlling your future. When you forgive, you are not necessarily setting someone else free. You are setting yourself free. You release the emotional chains connecting you to old wounds. You reclaim your power. You create space for healing growth and new possibilities. This lesson becomes especially important because life inevitably involves disappointment. People will misunderstand you. Some relationships will end. Certain expectations will not be fulfilled. Challenges will arise unexpectedly. If you carry every hurt forever, your heart eventually becomes too heavy to move forward. Forgiveness lightens that load, and a lighter heart travels farther. Another principle Buddha taught involves simplicity. Modern life often encourages complexity. People fill their schedules with endless commitments. They surround themselves with possessions. They consume constant information. They chase one distraction after another. Yet despite having more convenience than previous generations, many people feel overwhelmed. The reason is simple. More is not always better. Sometimes more creates confusion. Sometimes more creates stress. Sometimes more pulls attention away from what truly matters. Buddha taught that simplicity creates clarity. When unnecessary distractions are removed, important priorities become easier to see. Think about the moments when you have felt most peaceful. Often, they involve simple experiences: a quiet morning, a meaningful conversation, a walk in nature, time spent with loved ones. These moments remind us that fulfillment often comes from presence rather than excess. The future becomes brighter when you simplify your focus, when you invest energy into what genuinely matters, rather than constantly chasing things that provide only temporary satisfaction. Buddha also emphasized the value of personal responsibility. This teaching is incredibly important because many people spend years blaming circumstances for their unhappiness. They blame their past. They blame other people. They blame bad luck. They blame the economy. They blame conditions they cannot control. While some obstacles are very real, blaming them endlessly rarely improves life. Personal responsibility does not mean ignoring challenges. It means recognizing your ability to respond to them. No matter what happened yesterday, you still have choices today. You can learn, you can adapt, you can improve, you can grow. The moment you accept responsibility for your actions, your future begins shifting, because responsibility creates power. Blame creates helplessness. A person who constantly blames others gives away control. A person who accepts responsibility gains the ability to create change. This mindset separates those who remain stuck from those who move forward. Buddha believed that wisdom grows through experience. Knowledge alone is not enough. Many people know what they should do. They know they should exercise. They know they should be patient. They know they should manage stress. They know they should spend more time with loved ones. The challenge is applying that knowledge. Wisdom emerges when understanding becomes action. A lesson only changes your life when you live it, not when you merely hear it, not when you read about it, not when you talk about it, but when you practice it consistently. This is why small daily actions matter so much. Tiny improvements repeated over time produce remarkable results. A single positive habit may seem insignificant today, but over months and years its impact becomes enormous. Buddha understood that transformation happens gradually, just as a river shapes stone through consistent flow. Daily choices shape your future through consistent action. As life moves forward, there will always be uncertainty. No one knows exactly what tomorrow will bring. No one can predict every challenge or opportunity. Many people fear this uncertainty. They want guarantees. They want complete control. They want certainty before taking action. But certainty is rarely available. Faith becomes necessary. Not blind faith, but trust in your ability to adapt. Trust in your ability to learn. Trust in your ability to face whatever comes next. Buddha encouraged people to develop inner strength rather than dependence on external certainty. Because circumstances can change quickly. Markets change. Relationships change. Careers change. Health changes. But inner strength remains valuable in every situation. When you cultivate wisdom, resilience, patience, and self-awareness, you carry resources that cannot easily be taken away. Those qualities become your foundation, and a strong foundation helps you weather any storm. As you reflect on these teachings, remember that personal growth is not a destination. It is an ongoing journey. There will be setbacks, there will be mistakes. There will be days when progress feels slow. That is normal. Growth is rarely a straight line. What matters is continuing forward, learning from experiences, adjusting when necessary, and refusing to give up on becoming the person you are capable of becoming. The wisdom of Buddha reminds us that peace is not found somewhere far away. It is cultivated within. Strength is not something you wait for. It is something you build. And the future is not something that simply happens. It is something you create through the choices you make every day. As the journey of life continues, there comes a point when many people begin asking deeper questions. Who am I beyond my job? Who am I beyond my achievements? Who am I beyond the opinions of others? Who am I when all the noise of the world becomes silent? These questions have existed for thousands of years, and they are the same questions that led Buddha toward enlightenment. Most people spend their lives building an identity based on external things. They define themselves by their income, their social status, their appearance, their possessions, their accomplishments. But Buddha discovered that anything built upon external conditions is fragile, because external conditions are always changing. A successful career can disappear. Money can be lost. Beauty fades with time. Positions of power eventually pass to someone else. If your entire sense of self depends on things that can be taken away, then peace will always remain uncertain. This is why Buddha encouraged people to look deeper, beyond titles, beyond labels, beyond temporary circumstances. He taught that true strength comes from knowing your inner nature. A person who understands their value does not need constant validation from the world. A person who understands their worth does not spend every day seeking approval. A person who understands their purpose is not easily distracted by criticism. Many people suffer because they allow other people to define them. A stranger makes a negative comment, and their confidence disappears. Someone rejects them, and they begin questioning their value. A mistake happens, and they start believing they are incapable. But Buddha taught that your worth does not increase because someone praises you, and your worth does not decrease because someone criticizes you. Your value exists independently of the opinions around you. The opinions of others are often reflections of their own experiences, fears, and beliefs. They are not always accurate reflections of reality. When you truly understand this lesson, you stop giving strangers control over your emotional state. You become less dependent on approval. You become more focused on living according to your values, and that creates a freedom many people never experience. Another powerful teaching from Buddha involves the relationship between desire and suffering. This lesson is often misunderstood. Some people assume Buddha wanted people to abandon all goals and ambitions. That is not the deeper message. The problem is not having goals. The problem is becoming emotionally attached to specific outcomes. Imagine working hard toward an important dream. You give your best effort. You stay disciplined. You remain committed. But despite your efforts, the outcome is uncertain. Most people become anxious because they focus entirely on the result. They convince themselves that happiness depends upon achieving one particular outcome. As a result, they suffer throughout the journey. Buddha encouraged a different approach. Focus on your actions rather than your attachment to results. Give your best effort. Do your best work. Live according to your principles, then allow life to unfold. This mindset reduces unnecessary stress while increasing effectiveness, because your attention remains focused on what you can influence, not on what you cannot control. People who master this lesson often become more successful because fear of failure no longer paralyzes them. They are willing to take action. They are willing to learn. They are willing to adapt, and they understand that one outcome does not define their future. Buddha also taught that every person carries both light and darkness within them. Nobody is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has weaknesses. Everyone experiences moments of doubt. The problem arises when people become trapped by guilt and shame. They believe their mistakes define them forever. They replay failures repeatedly. They punish themselves for things that happened years ago. But growth requires self-compassion. Imagine teaching a child how to walk. The child falls repeatedly, yet nobody expects perfection. Nobody says the child should stop trying. Instead, each fall becomes part of the learning process. Life works the same way. Growth involves mistakes. Wisdom often emerges from failure. Strength frequently develops through adversity. The people you admire most have almost certainly experienced setbacks, disappointments, and moments of uncertainty. What separates them from others is not perfection. It is persistence. They continue learning. They continue growing. They continue moving forward. Buddha understood that transformation becomes possible when you stop defining yourself by your worst moments. Every day provides another opportunity to become wiser than you were yesterday. Another lesson Buddha emphasized is the importance of surrounding yourself with positive influences. Human beings are deeply affected by their environment. The people around you influence your thinking, your habits, your expectations, your standards, your beliefs. Spend enough time around negativity, and it begins affecting your mindset. Spend enough time around people who complain constantly, and eventually complaining starts feeling normal. Spend enough time around fear, and fear becomes contagious. But the opposite is also true. Spend time around people who encourage growth, and you become inspired. Spend time around individuals who value honesty, kindness, and wisdom, and those qualities begin strengthening within you. This is why Buddha encouraged people to seek wise companionship. The people closest to you shape your future more than you may realize. Choose relationships that help you become stronger rather than weaker. Choose relationships that challenge you to grow rather than remain stagnant. Choose relationships built upon respect, trust, and mutual support. Life becomes significantly easier when the people around you support your highest potential. Another important lesson involves learning how to embrace uncertainty. Many people spend enormous amounts of energy trying to predict every possible outcome. They want guarantees before making decisions. They want certainty before taking risks. They want complete clarity before moving forward. But life rarely provides such guarantees. Every meaningful opportunity contains uncertainty. Every relationship contains uncertainty. Every dream contains uncertainty. Even tomorrow itself is uncertain. The desire for absolute certainty often keeps people trapped. They wait and wait and wait until years pass without meaningful progress. Buddha taught that uncertainty is not something to fear. It is part of life itself. In fact, uncertainty creates possibility. If everything were predetermined, growth would be impossible. Opportunity would disappear. Discovery would vanish. The future remains open precisely because uncertainty exists. The strongest people are not those who eliminate uncertainty. The strongest people are those who learn to navigate it with courage. They trust themselves enough to move forward without knowing every detail. They understand that clarity often appears after action, not before it. And because they are willing to take the next step, opportunities emerge that would otherwise remain hidden. One of the most beautiful teachings from Buddha concerns the present moment. So many people postpone happiness. They tell themselves they will finally enjoy life when they achieve a certain goal, when they earn more money, when they find the perfect relationship, when they retire, when circumstances improve, but years continue passing, and happiness remains somewhere in the future, always out of reach. Buddha taught that life is happening now, not next year, not someday, not after everything becomes perfect. Now this moment is where life exists, this breath, this experience, this opportunity. Learning to appreciate the present does not mean abandoning ambition. It means refusing to sacrifice today entirely for tomorrow, because tomorrow is never guaranteed. The ability to find meaning, joy, and gratitude in the present moment is one of the greatest gifts a person can develop. It transforms ordinary experiences into valuable memories. It allows you to enjoy the journey rather than constantly chasing destinations. And it creates a sense of fulfillment that external achievements alone cannot provide. As these teachings begin to take root, something remarkable happens. Your relationship with life changes. Challenges still appear. Difficulties still arise. Unexpected events still occur. But your response becomes different. You become calmer during uncertainty, stronger during adversity, more grateful during ordinary moments, more patient during setbacks, more compassionate toward yourself and others. This is the true transformation Buddha wanted people to experience. Not merely changing circumstances, but changing consciousness. Because when consciousness changes, life itself begins to look different. The future becomes less frightening, the present becomes more meaningful, and inner peace becomes more accessible. Remember that wisdom is not measured by how much information you collect. Wisdom is measured by how deeply you apply what you learn. Every lesson becomes valuable only when it influences the way you live. And every small step taken in the direction of growth eventually creates extraordinary change. As we reach the final part of this journey, it is important to remember that wisdom alone does not change a life. A person can read hundreds of books, listen to thousands of speeches, watch endless motivational videos, and still remain exactly where they are. Knowledge becomes powerful only when it turns into action. This is one of the greatest lessons hidden within the teachings of Buddha. Truth is not something to admire from a distance. Truth is something to live. Many people spend years searching for the secret to happiness. They believe there must be some hidden formula, some special achievement, some magical destination where peace finally appears. But Buddha discovered something much simpler. Peace is not found. Peace is created. It is created through daily choices, through daily habits, through daily awareness. Every thought you choose to entertain, every action you choose to take, every reaction you choose to control becomes part of the life you are building. Your future is not appearing suddenly. One day, your future is being created right now, in this very moment, with every decision you make. This realization is both challenging and empowering. It is challenging because it means responsibility belongs to us, but it is empowering because it means change is possible. No matter what happened in your past, no matter how many mistakes you have made, no matter how far you feel from your goals, you still possess the ability to choose a different direction. The moment you change your actions, you begin changing your future. Buddha often reminded people that life is precious because it is temporary. Many people avoid thinking about this reality. Yet, understanding impermanence can become one of the greatest sources of wisdom. When you remember that time is limited, your priorities become clearer. Petty arguments lose importance. Unnecessary worries lose power. Meaningless distractions become easier to recognize. You begin focusing on what truly matters. The people you love, the values you believe in, the purpose you wish to fulfill, the experiences that bring genuine meaning. Imagine reaching the end of your life and looking back. What would matter most? Would it be the things that caused stress every day? Would it be the opinions of strangers? Would it be the fears that prevented action? Probably not. Most people at the end of life value connection, love, growth, contribution, and the moments they fully experienced. Buddha wanted people to understand this before it was too late, because awareness of life's temporary nature creates urgency for living wisely. Not fear, not anxiety, but appreciation. Every sunrise becomes more valuable, every conversation becomes more meaningful, every opportunity becomes more precious. Another profound lesson from Buddha is that happiness grows when it is shared. Modern culture often promotes individual achievement above everything else. People are encouraged to focus only on personal success, personal gain, personal advancement. Yet many discover that selfish success eventually feels empty. Human beings are naturally connected. The joy you bring to others often returns to you in unexpected ways. The kindness you offer creates ripples far beyond what you can see. A simple act of encouragement may inspire someone to keep going. A moment of compassion may change someone's entire day. A gesture of generosity may create hope where none existed. Before Buddha understood that fulfillment expands when we contribute to something larger than ourselves. A meaningful life is not measured only by what we accumulate. It is also measured by what we give. The legacy you leave behind will not be determined solely by your achievements. It will also be determined by how you made people feel, how you treated others, and how much light you brought into the world around you. One of the final teachings that can transform your future is learning to trust the process of growth. Growth rarely feels comfortable. In fact, growth often feels difficult. When you develop discipline, it feels challenging. When you confront fears, it feels uncomfortable. When you change habits, it feels awkward. When you leave your comfort zone, it feels uncertain. Many people mistake discomfort for failure. They assume that because something feels difficult, it must be wrong. But Buddha understood that discomfort is often a sign of transformation. A seed must break open before it becomes a tree. A caterpillar must leave its old form before becoming a butterfly. Growth requires change, and change often involves discomfort. The key is learning not to run from it. Instead, welcome it as evidence that progress is taking place. Every challenge contains an opportunity for development. Every obstacle contains a lesson. Every setback contains information that can make you stronger. Life does not happen against you. Life often happens for your growth. When you begin viewing challenges through this lens, everything changes. Problems become teachers. Difficulties become opportunities, and obstacles become stepping stones. Another lesson Buddha emphasized was the importance of inner balance. Many people live at extremes. They work excessively and neglect rest, or they rest excessively and avoid effort. They become consumed by pleasure or trapped by rigid discipline. Buddha taught what became known as the middle way, a path of balance, a path that avoids destructive extremes. Balance creates sustainability. It allows you to pursue goals without burning out. It allows you to enjoy life without becoming distracted from what matters. It creates harmony between ambition and peace, strength and compassion, achievement and gratitude. The future becomes healthier when balance becomes part of your daily life, because balance creates stability, and stability creates lasting progress. As these lessons come together, a larger picture begins to emerge. The future is not determined by luck alone. It is not determined solely by circumstances. It is shaped by mindset, by character, by habits, by choices, and by awareness. The wisdom of Buddha continues inspiring millions of people because it addresses timeless human struggles. Fear, stress attachment, doubt, anger, uncertainty. These challenges exist in every generation, yet so do courage, patience, wisdom, compassion, gratitude, and resilience. The choice between these forces is made every day, moment by moment, thought by thought, action by action. You may not control everything that happens in life, but you can control how you respond. You can choose patience instead of panic. You can choose growth instead of excuses. You can choose gratitude instead of resentment. You can choose courage instead of fear. And every time you make those choices, you move closer to the future you truly desire. Perhaps the most important lesson of all is this: you do not need to become someone else to find peace. You do not need to wait for perfect circumstances. You do not need to have all the answers. You simply need to begin. Begin paying attention to your thoughts. Begin practicing kindness. Begin letting go of unnecessary worries. Begin appreciating what you already have. Begin trusting your ability to grow. Small changes repeated consistently create extraordinary results. The journey of transformation always starts with a single step, and that step can happen today, right now, at this moment. As you finish listening to these teachings, remember that wisdom becomes meaningful only when applied. Take one lesson from this message, just one, and begin living it. Because one lesson practiced sincerely is more powerful than 100 lessons ignored. Your future is waiting. Your potential is waiting. The life you are capable of creating is waiting. And every day offers another opportunity to move closer to it. May you walk forward with courage when challenges appear. May you remain patient when progress feels slow. May you choose kindness when anger seems easier. May you stay grateful even during difficult seasons. And may you discover the peace that has been within you all along. Thank you for being part of this journey.